It's the end of December, and we're up in North Dakota, and it's about 1 degree, and there's 3 feet of snow. I've never seen so much snow in my life. Back over this way, there's a cut cornfield, and there's probably over 100 deer feeding out there. Over this way, there's a bunch of bedding areas, and an area that the locals call the sand hills. Miles and miles of rolling sand hills with little bur oak trees and popple trees scattered throughout. The wind's blowing out this way, so it's perfect. We're just hoping to catch one of these bucks cruising from the bedding out to the feeding area, so you stay with us. I think we're gonna have a good night tonight.
Within minutes after getting settled, deer start parading past Scott's stand, and this good-looking buck is leading the parade. Obviously, the cold temperatures and deep snow have forced the resident bucks to abandon their normally reclusive post-rut lifestyles. Over the next couple hours, Scott sees an incredible number of deer, including several potential shooters. But with the way the deer are moving, coupled with the fact that it's early in his hunt, Scott elects to wait.
It's late December and we're up in North Dakota, and it's cold, way below zero. There's over 3 feet of snow, and these deer are having a hard time finding food. We're set up on the backside of a feedlot up on a little knoll. About 2 weeks ago, the rancher pulled the cattle out of here because the snow got too deep for them. As a result, there's leftover hay bales, there's grain, there's a lot of food in here for these deer to come in and feed on. They're coming from all different directions. Mainly, though, they're coming from over here. The wind's blowing back this way, so we should be good. I know we're going to see a ton of deer tonight. Just got to hope that the right one comes by. Stay with us. I think it's going to be a great evening. There's 3 bucks coming down the hill right at us. Oh man, that middle one is nice. He's got real long brow tines. What a huge 8-pointer. Did you see the brow tines on that thing? Yes. Oh man, what a great deer. I think I hit him a little bit low though, but wow. Oh man, what an awesome deer. Unbelievable. Yesterday afternoon we came in here, had a beautiful 8-pointer come in, and I shot him low. Terrible feeling. So what we decided to do is back out, let him lay for the night. We came back this morning, and it's been an adventure. This deer went a long ways through deep snow. The good thing is, we found him, and he's laying right there. Let's go take a look. Wow. Unbelievable. What a gorgeous deer. Tell you what, it's been a tough week. Cold, windy, a lot of snow. A lot of these bucks have dropped their horns already. A lot of half racks running around. The reason we decided to take this buck, we thought he was a little bit older. A lot of character with the long brow tines. And a beautiful buck. What a way to end the season in North Dakota. A huge 8-pointer. It doesn't get any better.
Well, hunting in brutal weather conditions is a double-edged sword. You know, it makes it tough to stay out there when the temperatures are well below zero. But on the flip side, you saw the way those whitetails were flocking to that haystack on Scotty's hunt. And let's take a closer look at that hunt on this week's Zooming In.
Zooming In is brought to you by Reconyx, see what you've been missing, and by Nikon, the trusted name in optics.
As you heard repeatedly throughout the 2 late-season bow hunts we showed this week, the weather conditions in North Dakota were absolutely brutal. Not only did TJ and Scott have to endure extremely cold temperatures while hunting, they also had to fight their way through 3-foot snowdrifts just to get to their stands. But as so often is the case under such conditions, the end result certainly justified the sacrifices the 2 men made. Deer movement was nothing short of fantastic. Now, as the footage from Scott's hunt clearly showed, the resident whitetails, including bucks of all sizes, were definitely grouped up. What's more, almost all the deer were keying in on one particular food source, which was a stack of hay bales located right here. Thanks to the obvious runways he could see in the deep snow, and the fact that he'd hunted this area in the past, Scott really didn't have to do much in the way of scouting to figure out the movement pattern. Basically, the deer were bedding in some thick poplar brush located in this area, just a short distance from the hay bales. Upon leaving the bedding area, their deer would pretty much travel in a straight line along this route to get to the bales. Just after leaving the security of the poplar brush, the deer would jump this fence here, which put them inside a pasture. Due to the onset of severe weather, the cattle that normally spend the winter in the pasture had been relocated closer to the rancher's buildings. Scott first saw the 8-pointer when it was right about here. The big deer was the middle animal in a group of 3 bucks. As predicted, all 3 ended up jumping the fence here and eventually made their way to the stack of hay bales. As we saw, after quickly settling a minor dominancy issue, the 8-pointer began feeding on the hay bales right about here, approximately 30 yards from Scott's ground blind. After the hit, the buck ran back into the poplar brush pretty much along the same route he'd walked out on. Upon reviewing the footage of the hit, Scott decided to wait until the next day to go after the wounded deer. He eventually recovered his late-season trophy right about here after a rather lengthy trailing job through deep snow. As anyone who has ever bow hunted in extremely cold weather can attest, merely having a big buck within bow range is no guarantee that you're going to be putting your tag on that deer. Put simply, the cold changes everything. Shooting a bow when wearing a bunch of layers of clothing is way different than shooting a bow when wearing 1 or 2 layers. And put bluntly, no bow performs absolutely the same in below zero temperatures as it does when temps are above freezing. But the way me and my hunting partners see it, these adversities only serve to make tagging a late-season trophy that much sweeter. Hey, make sure you tune in again next week. I don't know where on earth we'll be zooming in, but I do know that you'll find it informative. We'll see you here.
Zooming In has been brought to you by Reconyx and by Nikon.